Hi everyone, this is day 3 of the food photo breakdowns for the 30 days. So today we have a dark and moody picture. I've heard so many times that my students, all of the people I've connected to on Instagram, they like this type of dark and moody food photos. But like what exactly is dark and moody photos? Let's just try to understand before breaking down this picture. Dark and moody has two components, dark and moody, as the name suggests. Dark is where like all of the darker neutral colored things are over there, and there's a moodiness to it. That means basically there's a tonal difference. So there's quite bright stuff and quite dark stuff, so the contrast pops out and it makes the photo look good. Here if you can see, it gives a very nice rustic antique look to this food photo. And as always, if you saw yesterday's and day before yesterday's food photo, I started with breaking down the lighting first, right? So let's just try to break down the lighting over here first. Okay, so as before that, like, let's just look at what is the actual food subject over here, right? So any person can just say, and after looking this picture, that the hand along with this particular dessert is the food subject that you can see in this picture. For highlighting this dessert and the hand, the lighting, if you can see, it's coming from the left hand side, and it may be a natural light as far as I can tell, because if you can see, if you can just zoom out, if you can just zoom inside this picture, let me just go ahead and try to zoom in this picture. I want to show you the If you try to zoom in this picture, I want to show you the difference. I want to show you the highlights and the shadows over here, right? So let me just take out the pen, and if you can see, just notice the shadows over here, right? Any food subject, I yesterday I explained you, take any prop, any food ingredient, any subject, and try to see the shadows over here, right? If I take the wooden board and if I try to look at the shadow of it, it gives a nice soft shadowy look to it, right? So I can say that it's a soft shadow. And day before yesterday I told you the direction opposite of the shadow is the light, is the direction of the light. So I can comfortably say that the direction of the light is coming from the left side, because I have light soft shadows onto this particular aspect, onto this particular part of the food photo. Apart from the lighting, I can definitely guess that it's a natural light coming in from the window, right? And anytime when you want to create an outstanding shot, my definition of an outstanding shot is literally your subject is standing out from the backdrop and other things, right? So if I have a window over here, the photographer over here, maybe he might have blocked the light that is going to fall on the other things, right? Like the backdrop, which is over here, the props and the ingredients which are in the middle, but behind my food subject, right? So look at the depth of this particular food photo. Okay, so I have some plants which are the foreground elements. I have my main subject over here which is placed off center, it's not in the center. Generally if you see the food photos on Pinterest and other places, they are dead in the center. This person has not done it. So there's foreground elements there's middle ground elements, and in middle ground element also there's a food subject which is like this. So it's the middle ground element, and there's two sort of background elements over here, right? So if you can see the gray backdrop, this is the gray backdrop. So it has a nice grunge metallic gray to it. So that's the actual backdrop. But if you can see, just to add the personality into this picture, this photographer has kept a lot of different things. This Turkish coffee maker, then the newspaper, the books, the jam jar, some more plants, some more flower vase, right? So these actually tell a nice story to this particular food photo, right? So if I delete all of these things, you would be able to see that the storytelling abilities of a food photographer is dependent on the props and the stuff that you keep in this picture, right? So again, from the front to the back, foreground element, the plant, the wooden board on which the dessert is kept, which is your main subject. So if you're a homemaker, just try to make sure that you add some nice wooden chopping boards or wooden trays for keeping your main subject on top of it, right? So apart from the middle ground elements, there are nice storytelling elements which I call, these are like coffee maker, some flower vase, some jars, some more desserts, some newspapers, some books, some plants, all of these things. And there's the background element, the backdrop, which is a metallic gray, dark gray elements, right? So after understanding where is the light coming from, after understanding what are the elements inside the frame, if you can see, there's human element and an action shot, which I discussed yesterday as well, right? Yesterday I discussed it over here that there's an action element and the human element over here, right? Same thing here. The hand is giving a direction to it, and there's a nice white sugar powder falling onto it with a nice pattern, right? So this kind of food photos are generally shot at higher shutter speeds, 1 by 800 or more than that, right? So this is how you get a dark and moody picture with a bright red food subject, maybe raspberries, strawberries, or another kinds of berries or jams. You can highlight your subject, and of course there's white sugar powder, which contrasts well with the dark black color or and the dark gray color of the whole theme of this picture, right? So lighting, visual aesthetics, and maybe in the editing process they might have used a radial filter as well. That means everything, if suppose this is a photo, they used a radial filter where this part in the center is bright and this part is dark, right? So you can use it in your Lightroom, in your Snapseed, anything. Generally people use Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom. It's a, I think, a freemium software. I have purchased the premium subscription of it, but you can use Snapseed for doing the same thing, right? So hope you found it useful, and I have a whole setup which I tell in my 7-day food photography challenge. It's kind of a 7-day challenge which I do. So I have a dark and moody setup that I have done just similar to this, where I show you step by step on how to take pictures like this. So if you are interested in this, just look in the description box and join the 7-day food photography challenge, where you'll get more stuff like this and more access to this, more access to my expertise, so that you will get better at food photography and reach your business goals. Perfect. See you tomorrow.